today we have Mr. Jason Leong, who will introduce us to workplace mental health in ESG and SDG agenda, a topic that is close to everyone and yet a bit sensitive to talk these days. So before I let Mr. Jason start, let me briefly introduce our esteemed speaker first. Jason Leong has a Bachelor of Law degree and is the founder of Better Mind company. It's a company that provides expertise and comprehensive solutions on workplace mental health with ESG advisory and sustainability. He recently authored a book called Workplace Mental Health in ESG Strategy and the 2030 SDG, a practical guide for companies to provide a unique perspective and insights on the importance of workplace mental health to organizations and the corporate sector. Mr. Jason is active in various NGOs, doing community service as well as promoting national unity, peace, and harmony. In 2019, Mr. Jason co-founded a new NGO called Better Dads Malaysia with Joshua Hong, and its main focus is to initiate and lead a national movement for fathers in Malaysia to promote effective fathering by motivating, mobilizing, and equipping fathers and father figures to be responsible and involved fathers. So for today's talk, Mr. Jason will talk about how organizational and corporate leaders who often manage global workforces can launch international social ESG initiatives with a major impact on the mental health and overall well-being of working people worldwide across their regional office. Without any further delay, I shall pass the mic to Mr. Jason. Give him a round of applause.
Okay, positioning. Thank you very much for the kind introduction and also this opportunity to come and share with you some thoughts about workplace mental health. And I'm glad that Dr. Dennison, who's a personal friend, connected me with you guys, partly because I gave him a book. All right. How many of you receive good morning messages on your WhatsApp, on your phone? Almost every day. And how many of you really hated it? Okay. I admit I was one of those who not very happy receiving all this because I kind of think, wow, it clogs up my phone, takes up space. I need to delete this because it comes every day. Some has good morning and some have good night, and then some send videos of. I fully understand. Until last Christmas, a personal friend of mine is a Tan Sri, retired, very high level civil servant. He was one of those who sent me good morning messages. And he called me. He said, Jason, I had a fall and I broke my hip. I said, wow, I didn't know. I said, I'm glad you told me. He said, you know why I send you good morning messages every day? I say, enlighten me. He said, I'm a widower. My wife is already passed away. I'm staying alone. I got 2 children. They're overseas. I have a maid that comes in once a while. A very big bungalow. But he said, if something happened to me and I die and drop dead, nobody would know. So I send you the good morning message is that if anytime, one day you don't receive it anymore from me, you know something has happened to me and you can call me. Wow. He said, luckily when I broke my hip, I felt my mate was there. Otherwise, habis, he said. So my heart really went out to him and I felt, yeah, I think there are a lot of people who are out there, no matter what position they are, they can be very lonely, isolated. So I have kind of changed my perspective and view about good morning and good night messages, a little bit more compassionate and understand and say, okay, maybe one of these days I'll also be like them. So we will send. So here we are talking about workplace mental health. Actually, it's about mental health. I could have written a book about mental health, but I'm not a psychologist, neither am I a psychiatrist. Therefore, I find that no point for me to write this. And then in any event, I'm a consultant. I do a lot of consultancy, work for big companies, Petronas, Kazana, Securities Commission, Shell, Exxon, Intel, and the money is there. Okay. So if I want to advocate for mental health, I need to go to where the money is. And the money is in the corporate sector. If I write a book on mental health per se, none of the corporate sector is going to even look at it or read it or buy it. So I had to deliberately position my book in such a way that it's a message in there. Workplace mental health, so it's corporate work. And then I put there as part of your ESG and SDG strategy, because all big companies are now expected to have their ESG initiatives and more so SDG. And I put a practical guide for companies, so everybody got to do it lah. So maybe positioning like that, corporate companies may say, oh, this is a book that may be useful for my company. I can buy it and I'll listen to you. So this is the whole positioning. And I'm really fortunate because I got good friends in very high places. One of them is Tan Sri Abdul Wahid Omar, who is also the chairman of Bursa Saham Malaysia. And that's where I want to talk to the people in Bursa, all the listed companies, technically my prospective clients, potential clients, and people who should carry the message about workplace mental health. He has kindly given me a forward for my book. And so let's take a look at this. A quick glance at the worldwide picture. WHO has got some data. And in 2019, they say there are about 900 million people suffering from mental health issues, anxiety and depression. Now, this is not even, we're not even talking about mental illness, neither are we talking about mental disorders. We are talking about mental health issues, which ordinary people like you and I will and may go through and likely to go through at some point in our life. It is about DASS. If you are familiar with the DASS 21, which is the preliminary mental health assessment, depression, anxiety, stress scale, 21 questions. So you can go and Google it and you can do your own mental health assessment. So it is about depression, it's about anxiety, it's about stress. So all of us work in various positions and we understand that. And even before COVID, there are organizations like Cigna already made a global survey, and that survey showed actually 87%. This is a global survey. Workers who say they are already very stressed out. 12% say unmanageable. Hong Kong, a city where it's very high stress city. They have a City Mental Health Alliance of Hong Kong, CMHAHK. 83% of the respondents say they suffer from mental health, poor mental health. So that is just a global, quick glimpse of a global picture. Malaysia, where are we? We have about 14.4 million working adults. And the survey research from MOH, from Ipsos, World Mental Health survey recently, and also Aeon Pelus has come out with some of these numbers. 4.2 million of our 14 million working adults have mental health issues. MOH say 3 in 10, about 30%, 29%. Randstad Malaysia survey 2022 say 63% have poor mental health, workplace, what they call it, poor work-life balance due to unreasonable bosses and difficult employees, maybe toxic office environment. At least 100,000 adults suffer from depression. My NGO, Better Dads Malaysia, we were dealing a lot with workshops on fathering, because we conduct exclusive workshops only for fathers, exclusively for men, no women allowed, no wives allowed, so where we basically try to help men to be better dads, better father. So we do a lot with all these issues, how fathers raising sons, fathers raising daughters, fathering skill and mothering skill are two separate skill sets. We have managed to convince the government to say that continue with your parenting workshop, but let us show you fathering workshop. The impact is probably greater. These have been doing that, and we noticed that during the pandemic years 2021, 2020, 2021, we were monitoring, and then a lot of the men in our workshop were staying back and asking us a lot of questions, and we realized that many of them were suffering from mental health issues, and some were suicidal, and so that got me involved into say, hey, mental health for men is a big issue, and how can we help them, right? So we monitored the suicide cases. In 2021, it hit 1,142 compared to a year earlier of 600 over cases in 2020. Now, this number of 1,142 actually is really underreported, because suicide is not decided by the hospital, not decided by MOH. Only the police can classify a case as suicide. So even if you get a case of sleeping pill overdose and the hospital say, or carbon monoxide poisoning in the car, it's quite clear that it's suicide. It goes to the hospital, the doctor cannot say suicide. No, because he has to pass it to police. PDRM has to investigate, and they must find evidence to say, yes, it is suicide. Then only becomes a statistic. More often than not, police cannot even find evidence. And then they say, we cannot classify as suicide, so we call it sudden death. That is why it is severely underreported. So based on 1142, we are getting about 3 persons dying by suicide every day in Malaysia. Worse still, 250 people will attempt suicide every day. One of our advocacy in the past few years has to push and advocate for the government to change the law and decriminalize suicide. And thank God, finally the government heard us. Not only us, but many other NGOs working together, and the law has been amended, so suicide is no longer a crime. It has been decriminalized. I mean, how can we even begin to charge somebody who tried to attempt to kill himself? He couldn't die, and yet you want to put him in jail instead of sending him to the hospital. I mean, he needs hospital mental treatment rather than jail. So that is a very archaic law, and I'm glad that we have an enlightened government to change it, and that's very good. And then because we were dealing with men, we were looking at those numbers. Men are 3 times more likely to commit suicide than women. So these are the numbers. If you can look at the Malaysia male versus female suicide numbers, actually 3.7 times higher than women. So women somehow has a support group, a natural support group. When women get together, I think they can pour their hearts out, they can ventilate and say some of the things that's really weighing heavily in the heart. Men get together, we talk about football, politics, and maybe fast cars. And we will never share what is deep in our heart. And that is why men suffer from a lot of ulcers. And they cannot take it anymore. They will just do it, jump and die. So that is why 3.7. That's a pretty serious thing. And the police data also say that men make up the bulk of the suicide numbers. What about children, teenagers? Our teenagers and adolescents are also at risk, because there is such a survey called the NHMS, the National Health and Morbidity Survey, which is done every 5 years. And if you look at this, since 2012, 2017, 2022 was the last one, the survey. It has gone up. Our adolescents, teenagers are feeling lonely. It jumped up during the pandemic years from 9% to 16%. Many of them are beginning to have suicide ideas, jump up to 13%. Some gone beyond the ideas, they have a suicide plan. Now, children can easily Google, go to YouTube, you can get a lot of suicide ideas, how to kill yourself, how to commit suicide. You even have a suicide plan. And that's sad. And beyond the plan, 9.5% has attempted suicide. So that's a very critical and worrying situation for our adolescents. And 26% of them, 29.7% feeling really depressed. And the protective factors that are supposed to keep them from all this parent peer support seems to be stabilizing at 46%. But parental contactedness has dropped severely from 32% to 24%. Parental bonding has also dropped from 42% down to 33%. That is why Better Dads Malaysia, we have taken on that responsibility and role and telling the fathers, hey, all this data is, you have to be really worried about it. What about your kid? Dads, men, rise up, take the challenge, be more responsible, more involved, connect with the children. We have to take the responsibility. We have to take the initiative. We are the fathers, we are the men. Because mothering skill, fathering skill, very different. Mothers can only go to a certain extent. They will not listen. The father, the influence of the fathers is very important. Okay, so this is about our work. Of course, I raised a lot of press statements, and we hope that the government and the people will take notice of it. And based on this is about the latest one done by Ipsos and on Telos Health. Out of our adult workforce, about 16 million, 40% felt stress, and they are unable to work for 7 to 14 days a year. And 62% says that their productivity is really affected. 44% felt depressed, 40% felt burnout. So workplace mental health is a serious issue. There is a cause in workplace mental health issues. There is a PhD thesis study by Dr. Chua Sok Ning that was done in 2018, and she mentioned the economic cost of workplace mental health. And she said it manifests itself in 3 ways. Malaysians being Malaysians, we have mental health issues in the office, at work, we will absent, content, disappear. So absenteeism happens about 23%. And that itself comes up to something like 3.28 billion. The second one is that when we are really, really stressed out, and we cannot take leave, cannot contact, so we will still come to work, but we pretend to work. So we are present, but we actually absent, right? Moving the mouse, staring at the screen, something is being done, so okay, I'm not present, there's no productivity. And that's the huge phenomenon. That takes up 68%, 9 billion. And then the last straw is that cannot absent, cannot pretend, cannot take it anymore, up to here, resign, quit, jump, tender resignation. And that's a cost, because that's staff turnover. The moment the staff who was with you for 4 years, 5 years, they say, I'm quitting, I'm joining another company. So all the training costs that you have poured into that person is now gone because he's joining another person, or maybe quitting the workforce. So it adds up to about 14.46 billion a year. 2018, data now would have about increased. That's about 1% of our GDP. Singapore is worse. Singapore is about 2.9% of the GDP. Singapore even more stressful, because Singapore being Singapore, like Hong Kong, really pressure cooker kind of thing. Globally, WHO, Lancet, and many other people have done research, and they say it adds up to about 1 trillion worldwide. So this is a huge, huge cost. And this is just lost because of mental health. Now, how does this add up and linked to ESG. You guys are the AAPG, ESG, SDG guys, right? So I think this is perhaps what intrigued Dato' Denison when he asked me to come and do the talk. Because ESG, as you know, talks about environmental, social, and governance. But personally, I feel the environment, the E part, has kind of been overdone because there seems to be a lot of emphasis of that, and partly because of the G2G, our government is part of that Paris Agreement. We need to have net zero, we need targets and all those things. But it's getting very costly. If you go to the ground, ask the companies who have to do the environment, the E part of ESG, they say it's costing us millions to get consultants to do all the reporting and checking this, checking that, how many percent emission in my company or everything else. It's very expensive. And the G part is very straightforward because it's governance. It's all in the law. And you can just follow the code, the regulations, and you get it, right? It's the social part, the S, the social pillar, that is kind of weak because people want to do it, but yet they say, how do we do it? We're not very sure. In the first place, how do you measure social impact? How do you begin to put a number on social impact? You know, unlike CO2 emission, you can calculate numbers. Social impact, there are qualitative measures. We can put a checklist, you can tick things off, but how do you find the quantitative measure? That's the difficulty. And because of that, many companies say, we don't know what to do, so we don't do. So this is also something that is quite worrying because the ESG thing actually starts at the top. ESG is not a HR function. ESG is an issue that is at the board level. That's why in the board of directors, there is sustainability committee and they're supposed to do all that. And the chairman, the CEO, the board of directors have to take charge. I keep telling all these board of directors, I say, your ESG report in your annual report or your sustainability report reflects on you. If you do shoddy work, it's on you. It's not on your staff because you are responsible. Because many of them, unfortunately, I read a lot of annual reports. Some annual reports are very lame when it comes to social pillar. They say, oh, we visited an orphanage, we donated 20,000. Therefore, we have done our ESG. You guys know that's not ESG. That's not sustainable. That is handout. That is philanthropy. Touch and go, give and then done. Not so easy anymore, right? You need something that's sustainable and systematic, structured. So this is why we are telling them, hey, you need to think a bit more. Because the earlier test on ESG was the materiality test. That means what is the impact of all these issues on my company's business? The impact on the environment, the social, and the governance on my company, and how I handle this risk. That's the first one. But now it has gone beyond materiality. It's now gone to double materiality. Now it is not only outside in, but also inside out. Because now the question posed to the company is that, okay, so what is your company's role in promoting and making the world a better place in terms of the E, the S, and the G? So it's not just about you dealing with the risk, but your contribution. And that's why I think all of you are doing a very good and noble job promoting the SDG goals, because this is really where companies need to be encouraged. You want to make this a better world? This is it, the SDG goals. Do it and do your contribution. So many of the companies love this tagline. My employees are my most valuable asset. Most important people, they'll put it down in all the annual report. So we are saying that, hey, don't just make it a trite slogan. Put your money where your mouth is. Do something for your employees. Charity begins at home. Start with the employees. If you have already taken care of their physical health in terms of medical benefits, dental benefits, why don't you extend a little bit now to talk about some benefits for the mental health, workplace mental health, and make it a better workplace. All right. So here we are, double materiality, and it's supposed to be geared towards SDG goals, the 17 goals. And in fact, a lot of it will impact more on the social impact. Out of the 17 goals, if you look at it carefully, the majority, almost 12 of them, are social impact. Our government has also introduced the IESG framework. This is the simplified framework to promote it to the SMEs, the small and medium companies. And there are about 75,000 manufacturing companies which are being impacted by this. Because if you are running a small SME and you are exporting something overseas, or you are part of a global supply chain, you're exporting something to US, America, many of your buyers now are looking at what is your ESG compliance before they even buy things from you. And we know a lot of our companies get into trouble. Our growth companies get into trouble because all their exports are being kind of detained at the customs because of failure to adhere to worker standards, ESG, and everything else. So for the next 3 years, our government is pushing and saying that don't be left out. There's 12 trillion US dollars business out there in the global supply chain. So get to do something. And for the next 3 years, you're supposed to transition and be part of the ESG initiative so that you can be part of the global thing. So from this year onwards to 2026, after that, I think things will come out more. So ESG as a social pillar, that is the one that builds trust because you're dealing with people. So the social pillar builds trust. And it is about your reputation. I advise Petronas on corporate reputation. Many people do branding. I don't do branding. There are many branding gurus out there. Branding is easy. Now you give me 100 million, I can do branding for you. Just buy all the space. So Samsung will buy every single available billboard in town and they put Samsung, right? That's branding. But reputation is slow. It's something that you build overnight. Cannot build overnight. You have to do it step by step over years. Petronas understands reputation. Petronas does not buy advertisement space and advertise, buy Petronas oil, petrol. Tak ada. Right? Petronas, I worked with Yasmin when he was still alive. We do TVCs, TV commercials, and you really remember all those beautiful, beautiful commercials done by Petronas at every single festival that we have, Chinese New Year, Hari Raya. Petronas is not about selling oil and gas. It's about nation building. It is about friendship. It's about freedom. It's about the values that bind us together as a nation. It's about unity. That is the thing. That is why it's not so easy just to buy. And it is also in and out. Reputation to people out there. Petronas. Reputation inside. If you ask any Petronas executive, where do you work? He will very proudly say, I work for Petronas. So there is an internal sense of pride because this is a company that treats me well, that pays me well, that treat me and value me as a good employee. And the sense of pride, and that is something that money cannot buy. That's loyalty, that's talent retention, and that's really that kind of thing that can drive people to go beyond the what we call the call of duty. So it's very important. Post-COVID, mental health became very important. And WHO also say there is no health without mental health. One of those guys who gave me a message in my book, he said, without mental health, there's no sustainability to talk about. He said, we always say people, planet, profit. You forget about the order. The order has always been people first, planet second, profit last. I know it's fashionable to go green, save the environment, save the trees, save the planet. But if there are nobody else, what is that for? So it's about people, planet, profit. And how can a company manage its relationship with its workplace in society and all that? So, and it really took a pandemic like COVID-19 to shake us up and wake up that the silent S in ESG to be realizing, corporate companies begin to realize the importance of workplace mental health. Because workplace mental health deals with a lot of things that is very critical in a company. It helps the company make its corporate decision making, problem solving, how to work productively, how to communicate, how to build relationships within the company, and managing daily stress. And these are the things often we think that is intangible, but they are very, very important things in the company. It is a people risk. It sits with business and risk management rather than HR. So this is the message that we talk to corporate companies. So I do quite a bit of consulting now. Better Mind Sdn Bhd is a startup company. I used to own a company called SIP Advisory, which I do government relations, reputation management, geopolitics. So I decided to add on ESG, social advisory, and workplace mental health, and start another company. So this is it, Better Mind, so that I can link it with my NGO for Better Dads Malaysia, because part of our profits will go towards sustaining the work of my NGO. I don't have to go around asking for a donation. That's something that I don't like to do. I hate asking for money, and I'm not good at asking for money. Very bad. Tennyson, very good. Okay, where is that cornerstone? So when you do S, the social pillar, you can do many things. Health, including mental health, and you can do OSHA, occupational health and safety, which a lot of us, every company does it because the law says so. But the unfortunate thing about OSHA is that they only track the physical injury. Oh, zero death, oh, very good, very proud. Zero accident, oh, very proud. Nobody died, nobody got injured, so we are very good. But what about the mental health? That part is not in track. Actually, if you read the OSHA Act, health actually includes mental health. Only thing is that nobody has really taken up a case and sued the government or sued the company for that. There was a company, Fortune 500 company in Australia, 2 years ago. One of the employee in Australia is a bit different. Australia has what we call the Mental Health Commission, Australia. So the government is very sensitive. And the Mental Health Commission has power. It's a regulatory body. So if anybody got issues, want to complain about any company, you file your complaint to the Mental Health Commission, and they will come and investigate. So this is what this employee, small employee, big listed Fortune 500 company filed a complaint. He said that my company is very too much stress. I'm suffering from mental health issues in our company. And the Australian Mental Health Commission actually came in and investigated. And they found that it's true. Warn the company, issue black and white warning. Please improve your mental health in the workplace. 6 months later, a second complaint went in. Same company, different employee, another complaint. Australia Mental Health Commission went in and investigated. True. We have warned you, right? 6 months ago, we have not done anything about it. 5 million fine, straight imposed, 5 million Australian. And that really shocked the HQ. The HQ is not in Australia, the HQ is in Europe. And they got, wow, they said, it's not about the 5 million fine. We can well afford it. Nothing to us lah, 5 million we can pay lah. But it is the corporate reputation that has done to us. So immediately they ordered 150 million budget to be pumped into Australia to do workplace mental health. The CEO said, I don't want to hear any more of such complaints because it shows us that we are a heartless company. We are a terrible company that oppresses the workers. It hurts our reputation. We are a global 500 company, Fortune 500. So we cannot. So this is beginning to happen in cases like Australia, US, UK, Canada. These are the 4 jurisdictions that has got mental health commission. Malaysia, we are not there yet. Singapore, trying very hard, but not there. But Singapore is at least 10 years ahead of us. Surprisingly, my first 2 clients were from Singapore. Easier to sell to Singaporean companies because they understand. They say, no need to convince us about workplace mental health. We get it. Just tell me how much. Malaysian company a bit difficult because we need to really tell why you must do workplace mental health, this and that. That's why I go to a lot of places, take advantage of opportunities like this to spread the awareness. I'll be speaking at Bursa, and I spoke at FMM, Federation of Malaysian Manufacturers, Chambers of Commerce. So if they do all these things, we will hit at least, just for workplace mental health, we will hit at least 8 of the 17 SDG goals, just on workplace mental health initiative. And that's good because it's a 2-in-1. So if the company puts some money in doing workplace mental health, you not only do your ESG, you also get your SDG, and then now you can say, hey, my company is contributing to making this place a better world. Goal 1. Goal 3, if you go and read the actual explanatory note of Goal 3 of the SDG, for the first time, mental health is mentioned 3 times in the explanatory note. Previous to SDG in the MDG, it was not mentioned at all. And people assume that health means physical health. Even our government assumed a lot of things. The budget for MOH on physical health is huge, but the budget for mental health is very, very small. We just started one center of excellence for mental health in Sarijaya. I think government gave about 25 million. That's about it. And hopefully it will grow from there. But better late than never. At least we are starting something. So here we are. You see, we are talking about ESG, mental health. We can cover so many goals. So it's a good thing. Now, how do we do it as a professional advising on corporate advisory on workplace mental health? We will start to do an assessment. We go into the company, we will do an assessment. Basically, we need to tell the company, where are you at in terms of workplace mental health? And how do we do the assessment? We talk to management. We will talk to the people on the factory floor, because management will have their story. They will say, everything very nice and good, we are okay. But the guy on the factory floor, the blue-collar guy, he's going to tell you a different story. So as usual, the truth is somewhere in between. And what are the things that we look at? We look at the 3 main areas of workplace mental health. First, we look at the nature of work itself, because the work is surely going to define how it affects your mental health. Do you have unreasonable overtime? You make your people work long, long hours. You make your people work one person salary, he do 3 man's job, overwork, right? or sending an email on a Saturday off day and then say, oh, we want the presentation at 9 o'clock in the morning on Monday morning, huh? Rasa lah, rasa. Oh, he's not here. Oh dear. Okay. Anyway, there's a recording. So make sure you send the link to whoever is. uh, so, I mean, Saturday, Sunday, off day lah. Hey, you cannot send an email to me on Sunday and expect me to work or prepare the slide or Monday morning must present. Wow, die also have to do. No choice, you know. I met a good friend of mine, Dato Azim, I mentioned his name. He has a daughter who works in London for Deloitte. And the daughter come back and she's working from home. And every time my father say, hey, come for dinner, lunch, the daughter say, not a lot of work, no time for you, Dad. Sorry, cannot accompany you. And then suddenly, several weeks later, the daughter told him, Dad, I'm very free now. Whatever you want to go and makan, you just call me and we can go. Right? Then the father asked her, why? Last 2 weeks, you were so busy. Oh, he said, you know what happened? My immediate superior in UK fell sick. So he is on sick leave. And because my immediate superior is on sick leave, all of us downline also no need to work. Free. Wow. Deloitte is a good company to work for. One of the top big four lah. Wow. The father was said, wow, so good. Free. 1 whole week. No need to do anything. Yeah, no need. We don't even need to answer any email because our boss is off. So all of us get off. Wow, I say that's incredible. I don't expect Malaysian companies to do this, but that is something that is really, really innovative going on in the US, UK. This is UK, right? Then we look at the workforce itself. We look at the workforce policies. Do we have, say, family-friendly policies? Last year, Better Dads Malaysia gave an award to CIMB for being an exemplary company who is father-friendly. Why? Because they gave 1 month paternity leave to the men. This is in addition to all the maternity standard lah. But for the fathers, they give 1 month paternity leave. So we wanted to honor that. And yeah, because we felt that it wasn't much publicized, and we honored that. So paternity, wow, 1 month, So and that's good because the fathers need to be there, when the baby is born, so that the father also can help. So that's very good. And I gave a talk last year also, end of last year at Shell. I mentioned this. Well, the Shell guy said, hey, so where's my award? I said, what do you mean? He said, Shell also we give 1 month paternity leave. So I said, well, now that I know, so okay, I will give you the award this year. Better Dads Malaysia will organize the National Father's Day celebration and lunch every year. This year we will be having it at the Chorus Hotel on June 15th, Saturday, Monday before Father's Day, where we will give awards. So workforce is important, the policies governing your workforce. Do we have a mental health leave policy? In Australia, a lot of companies adopt what they call a mental health leave policy 4 days, where they say, no question asked. Any employee can go to the boss and say, boss, everything that can go wrong today has gone wrong. My car cannot start. My wife is quarreling with me. My child is sick. And this one, I got to take him to hospital. And this one, I got to take to school. I'm really not up to it. Can I take the next today and tomorrow off? And the boss will say, go. Take it. No need certificate. No need MC. No need. Because if this person is already suffering from that kind of mental health issue, even to get an appointment for therapy for a psychologist, it's going to take him months, right? So Malaysia, we usually go to the doctor and say, migraine, diarrhea, with MC. But that should not be the way, right? So if we can help, I know 4 days can be abused. Maybe we don't start with 4 days, we can start with 2 days. Kalau abuse pun, let it be lah. Let's be a bit more compassionate, and we understand that sometimes something will just go wrong. Life is not perfect. Life is difficult. So, well, I'm glad that what I'm saying is resonating and we're getting response. So it's something a bit innovative, it's new, but this is what the whole awareness thing is all about, So so do take heed of it. It's never too late. I mean, we are not perfect. Companies are not perfect. I mean, something's very new. Nobody has thought about it this way. So that's why this is the time and place to do it. Okay. And workplace, the environment is very important because some companies will be like, wow, cram everybody, working space also very susah, laptop pun tak ada, cannot work one, chair also not ergonomic, you sit there for 8 hours, you kena backbone. One of our major banks is having the issue. I think the union may strike over chairs. The union asked the bank to replace the chairs. 1 year, the bank refused. So I hope. So what is it in for the company? You can see all this productivity and everything else. Okay, and this one I don't do. This one I skip. Okay. So science. Actually, in some talks, I give away a survey, so people will actually do, and we will be able to grade each of you on the mental health, workplace mental health. But this is just a snapshot of some of the things that you will experience in the workplace if you're suffering from workplace mental health. So we have performance anxiety, self-doubt, cynicism, all kind of stuff. And what can we do about it? First of all, talk about mental health, normalize it. Because mental health in Malaysia and in many places, there is a stigma. If I suffer from mental health issues, it's very hard for me to come out and say I got mental health issues because the boss may misunderstand. I'll be blacklisted. I may even be the first to be retrenched. No more promotion, dead, finish. Because this guy cannot work. This guy got issues. That's unfair. So if the boss up there can normalize it, then it will be good. Piyush Gupta is a friend. He used to be the CEO of Citibank here, and he went to Singapore. He works for DBS Bank, and for the last 10 years, he has risen to dizzying heights in DBS Bank Group Singapore. He is today the Group MD for DBS Bank. And DBS Bank is very big on workplace mental health. I spoke to him not too long ago. I need to get his permission to screen the video, which we skip just now. And he said, hey, you know what's my new slogan for my bank? I said, I don't know, it surely has to do with banking. He said, listen, DBS Bank slogan, bank less, live more. Wow, I said, wow, bank less, live more. Wow, this is very contrary, and they're telling people do less banking. You say exactly. Life is more important. Live more. That's not about banking. Too many of us sometimes, Malaysians, we always like to cari makan, always like to make a living. Chinese always for one sake. But it's about time sometimes to transition from making a living to making a life. That's more important. This is what Piyush is all about. He said, I have my own mental health issues. Today, I openly share with my employees in the bank how my journey. how I recovered from my mental health issue, from where I was, and today I'm the top guy. It's okay to be not okay. Somehow you will make it if there is people who support. Simon Sinek is one of my favorite authors. How many of you read Simon Sinek's books? Oh, you don't read Facebook. Okay. Simon Sinek saying there is research saying that it just takes 8 minutes to help a person if he has got issues, to just support him, and he will be okay. 8 minutes. And he had a good friend who was going through a terrible time. And then finally, when they met up, Simon was telling the friend, Maria, hey, how come you never tell me? You have going through all this difficult time. Why you didn't tell me? I could have been here for you. He said, I did. I texted him. You know what? Normally you text, want to meet up? Can we catch up for coffee? Meet up for lunch? Where does it say that you need help? He said, that's all I can say to you, lah. Wow. Until they decided that they say, okay, next time you're in trouble, you just text, do you have 8 minutes? Do you have 8 minutes? Sometimes it's a bit difficult for us to text. I need your help. I'm not well. Come and help me. We are human beings. We have our own ego world, right? But it's probably easier to text a code that we all will agree. Do you have 8 minutes? Then you know that's a cry for help. And I think all of us have 8 minutes. We can step out and make that phone call for 8 minutes and help that person. Okay? Secondly, create a culture. So hopefully a culture can happen in the secretariat and in elsewhere. Compassion is important. Relationships, conduct awareness talks like this, seminar initiatives, workshops, offer conversation groups, mental health days, and open a resource center maybe on mental health, and visibly collaborate with others. We will be quite happy. Better Dads, Better Mind will be more than happy to collaborate with AAPG, AAPGM, SDG on any of the mental health issues or events. Okay. And so this is about my NGO. We are already almost 5 years. By November this year, we will be 5 years. So we have done, I like to think that we have at least reached a big section of the crowd in Malaysia. We have been very, very fortunate because the TV and radio, because we are the only NGO that talks about fathers. So anything about fathers, Astro will call me, Awani, RTM1 will call me, hey, what will comment? And then they will give us interview. Father's Day show interview us, Star will call us. And so we get that kind of reach out there. And then we reach fathers, we reach families. And of course, this book. Book available, special price. Not to sell the book, basically, if and all, it's just, I sell it at 150, but for you guys, I only got a couple of copies. 100 ringgit, all goes to Better Dads Malaysia. And that's it. Thank you very much.